Welcome to today's session, part of One Tech World. I'm very lucky today to be joined by Steve Van Wyk. My name's David Savage. I'm your host for this particular talk. I'm the Group Technology Evangelist at the Harvey Nash Group. But as I mentioned, Steve's our guest. Very quickly, before we dive into the talk, Steve, you're the Global CIO at HSBC, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Dave. Global CIO. I've only been here for now just about 4 months, so relatively new to the bank.
And look, most people probably go, Global CIO, I know what that is. But just in case actually your role has some interesting nuances, what are you doing for the bank?
Well, basically, I'm in charge of all technology that the bank uses. So everything from, our data centers that run a lot of our, our systems, all the way down to the online banking that serves our customers every single day.
And you mentioned there that you're relatively new. So joining during a pandemic, joining, I suppose, in a remote situation where you're not getting the opportunity to sit in front of all your colleagues and get to know them that way. How's that experience been?
It's no doubt been, different, right? When you join an organization the size of HSBC and try to do everything, virtually over Zoom, you introduce yourself and you get to know people a little bit, but, you need to do some creative things to kind of build relationships. We've been doing kind of virtual dinners at night and, happy hour on a virtual basis and try to be creative on how we can go beyond just the introductions and actually build relationships.
Well, look, I hope that it's going well. I'm sure that it is. Look, the first thing that I wanted to ask you about, in your domain, what tech initiatives have been accelerated as a response to COVID-19 and where have new developments come to the fore?
Well, there's obviously been a lot of changes that have taken place over the last 15 months, both from a customer's point of view as well as our colleagues. And we'll start with the colleagues. Although I am relatively new to the bank, I know that the teams here did just an amazing job on the technology teams to move all of our employees from a lot of them working in the office to actually working at home. And during that process, they actually moved, I think, 20,000 laptops to colleagues' homes, around the world. And we actually end up rolling out Zoom in a kind of a 12-week period to make sure that everybody could stay connected. And if you think about it, 12 weeks to do something like that over, an organization the size of HSBC is pretty incredible. It normally, take 12 months. And the scale of HSBC, we do, over 400 million conferencing minutes every single month. So there's just the magnitude of what the team accomplished was pretty incredible. And, there's just not going to be a new norm. You talk about new technologies and things that we're going to need to adapt to. We're just going to have to look at how we work a little differently going forward. There's just going to be a mixture of kind of a hybrid model of people working from home, people working in the office. And so we're going to have to think about our technology and what we provide them on a workplace basis a little differently and how we support them as well. So, the new norm is going to be something we're all going to have to get used to. And from a customer's perspective, customers now have realized that they don't need to go into the bank to get banking done, right? And so we're going to have to make sure that we continue to service them in this kind of remote, kind of virtual way. And, they've really grabbed on to online banking and really understand it and have gotten to, accustomed to the new features. So we're going to have to come up with ways that we can continue to enhance them. So the days of customers coming to the bank is gone. We need to kind of meet our customers where they're at. And so we need to kind of look at how we can extend our services. And it's called, we call it embedded finance here, where we're really integrating our capabilities into our customers' daily activities and to do it real time, kind of friction-free, kind of in the moment, kind of in context is how they are living their lives. And so more and more, we're going to have to adapt to the way our customers now have started to rapidly adapt kind of this new way of banking. And if you look for us, 92% of our personal banking transactions globally are digital at this point. And we have 1.3 roughly billion logons to personal banking apps in 2020. So just the sheer scale of what 2020 did to growth in the amount of logins was incredible. And about 10.5 million, chat conversations with personal banking customers, last year. So this whole shift to, online banking and to do it in a digital way is a big opportunity for us. to continue to kind of differentiate ourselves in the marketplace on how we can provide that service better than any other of our competitors.
It's interesting listening to you talk about customers there, because it reminds me of my slight naivety, I guess. I almost kind of go, oh, well, the customers, surely online banking is something that we've had for a long time. It's something that's the easy part, right? The biggest change was for your colleagues, was for people switching to working from home. But it ignores that aspect that a lot of people still liked to go into a bank, right?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt our branches will also change, Dave, if you think about it, because I think people will look at branches as something a little different as in the past, right? The old teller lines and going in and getting cash and so on is just going to change pretty dramatically. So not only will our online environments have to change, we're going to also have to adapt the physical nature of our branches and how they serve customers as well.
So looking ahead, what are the tech innovations or trends that you're paying particular attention to, and why do those ones stand out?
Well, we always look at, the new technologies that we see coming down on the road, in the context of our customers. So customers at the center of everything we do. And we try to look at those technologies that we think we can use to kind of differentiate that experience so that we kind of have that strategic advantage in the marketplace. And there are a number of them. You look at cloud. A lot of people talk about cloud. Now, we're a highly regulated organization, so we have to be very careful on how we move into the cloud, particularly when we're using customer data and these kind of things. But we've gotten to the point where we start feeling comfortable, so we can do cloud at scale. So we can really, use cloud in a completely different way than we are today. And we look at cloud as being kind of, cloud agnostic. So we try to make sure that we can move from one cloud provider to another cloud provider to be able to provide the kind of flexibility, the agility, and the performance that our customers are going to want out of the kind of services we can deliver to them. So cloud at scale is important. I mentioned embedded finance a little bit. We think more and more and more with the advancements of 5G and, IoT and the ability to do edge computing, we're going to have to extend our capabilities outside our four walls, where traditionally, our people would log into our online banking. Anymore, they're going to experience, financial services embedded into their lives. And as they walk through, even checking out of a grocery store or doing something so simple, you used to swipe your credit card, in the future, you'll just walk out and, we'll automatically, bill you for what you walk out with. So it's, financial services are going to be more embedded into your daily, walk, on a regular basis. So we're going to have to think about that differently. We think about ecosystems and, new business models, on the backs of blockchain and these kind of technologies. We think that there's going to be, different marketplaces that are going to be created where people are monetizing the value of data and their participation in ecosystems. And here too, we're going to have to be able to serve our customers where they're doing their business versus them coming to us. And then finally, I'll mention a lot of people like to talk about quantum, right, as being one of the, the major, let's say, compute capabilities that is coming down on the road. This too will be something we have to watch for. It's a little ways out there. It'll come knocking on our door, first of all, with regards to cyber and the encryption capabilities that quantum provides. But ultimately, it will be that compute power we're going to have to deal with. And the opportunity will be tremendous in how we can advance our capabilities for our customers using quantum. So those would be the ones that I would highlight.
When we think about the industry as a whole, what are we at risk of overlooking?
From a technology perspective, Dave, we've been talking about all the jazzy things, right, that people really like to talk about. But, what they have an opportunity to overlook is the stuff that isn't so jazzy. And this gets down into some of the core technologies that exist inside the bank, right? Every bank has a core banking platform. A lot of times they're very old, right? They're, maybe 30 plus years old and written in languages that nobody wants to learn anymore. But the problem is that these core platforms could get in our way to continue to be able to deliver the services we want to our customers at the speed that they're going to demand. So when we think about digitizing at scale and getting ready for the customers always being online, we need to be cognizant that some of these core platforms may get in the way. So we need to kind of digitize all the way to the core. We need to kind of take those old environments and modernize them so that we can actually make sure that we're built for the long term to be able to adapt to how our customers are going to change the way they consume our services. And if we always have that core kind of, being our anchor, at some point, it's going to get in the way for us to be able to deliver, the kind of services that we want. So some banks, some, organizations may overlook those not so jazzy, older systems that right now they're trying to ignore, but eventually it's going to come and bite them if they don't come to reality and come up with a long-term strategic plan on how to address it.
Now, look, we can't avoid the obvious optics that here are two men talking about women at a women in technology conference.
That's not good, is it? No.
but it is in a way, because there has to be that appreciation that there has to be engagement with more male leaders to champion diversity and inclusion. So what advice would you give to organizations to make sure that that is something that they do?
It's a great point, right? And, too often diversity is a metric, or it's a task, right? And it's something that we think we need to go out and kind of get done. Whereas in reality, it needs to be part of your culture. It needs to be, part of the DNA. It needs to be a business imperative, to be honest with you. It needs to be something that you realize that the only way you're going to succeed is if you embrace, diversity. And, earlier this year at HSBC, we launched kind of our refreshed values. And one of these values is really, valuing difference itself. And when we think about this, we think about all different kinds of diversity, right? And what I really like to think about is kind of the diversity of thought, right? And how do you kind of gain those new perspectives from different people that have, a different point of view based on, a variety of different elements, and how do you let them, help you make better decisions? Because if you think about it, what we're trying to do, and we talk a lot about customer today, we're always wanting to understand our customer. But what better way to understand our customer than to, reflect who our customer is within our workforce, right? To have that level of diversity, and then to champion, inclusivity, right? How do you make sure that you have an environment where people are free to speak up, where you listen and take into account, their viewpoints, even though they're completely different than yours. And within our organization, within Digital Business Services, the leadership team that I'm a part of, 2/3 of our leadership team is female. So we're really committed to making that happen. And HSBC also signed up for the 30% club, where the group executive committee and their direct reports is 30.5%, just over that 30% mark, which is good, which is up from 27% in 2019. So we're taking steps in the right direction. But boy, we'll never say that our work is done here, right? We will always have more to do. But I think we're making great strides.
Steve, I really do appreciate your time, giving up some time to talk to the audience, to share your insights, and obviously this wonderfully exciting new journey for you at HSBC. So I hope it continues to go well. And thanks for your time here at One Tech World.